Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. I'm Stephanie West. I'm a licensed counselor here in the state of Michigan, and I'm owner and operator of In Progress Counseling. Again, as someone who works in the transitional season of a client, so often someone comes in high distress, there's a restructuring or reorganization going on in their life, there's a big shift that's happened, there's a big loss that's happened, and so there's a recalibration at play. And often someone can come in with a frantic energy of like, we have to figure it out. We have to do the very next thing, and the very next thing is the new path that I'm on. And there's this urgency that shows up. Just recently, I was working it through with a client who is in the arena of job hunting. And there is this frantic energy, but on top of the frantic energy of I would like a job, there's this fear of, okay, what if it's the wrong job? And that resistance actually has put kind of the client in a gridlock where they're even worried about filling out the application, and they're worried about the exploration process, which we talked about in the last video, because the fear is, okay, but what if I get the job, and what if I hate the job, and then there's not a return on investment. And the gridlock is something that we can work on. And so what I did with that particular client is I slowed it down and I used the language of fear. And I said, whoa, there is a lot of fear in the room with us right now. Are you willing to tell me more about that? Because I can feel your, not just your energy, but I can feel the resistance in this room with us here. And the client was saying like, well, yeah, because if I get this job, what if I don't like the job? What if? And there was this buildup of anxiety just in real time between us, just growing and growing. And so then we wondered together, okay, you start this new job and you don't like it. What does that mean? You start this new job and it's not a good fit for you. What does that mean? Well, I can't start a job and stop a job. And it's like, well, ideally, no. We don't want to put effort in one direction and then there's not a payoff and it becomes, this perpetual job hunt. But to use the language of the last video, there's also a reality of exploration. There's a reality of you are out there trying to find goodness of fit right now. And you are out there learning a ton about yourself. And if you start a new job and something happens where you understand it is not a good fit, then we go into the exploration piece again. We go into trying to figure out what might be a good fit. And this time we have an increase of information because something about this not working tells us about what might be better for you. So there's this, again, we're going to use, if there's the gift of time, what we do when there's this franticness of energy is we look at the, maybe the misperceptions that are going on of like, I need a job right now and it has to be the perfect fit. Well, yes, you need a job, but let's worry about that piece of it. Let's cast a net in a couple different directions and let's assume we know enough about ourselves to apply for jobs that are good fits. But if the job works out and it's not a good fit, we go back into the exploration period. And again, it's not ideal. And there is a frustration that shows up in that process of like stop, start, stop, start. But also, if you go into something like a job hunt saying it's this next job and I have to ride that out or else, it's like, I don't know that you're filling out any applications anyway, because that feels really, really high stakes. And so one of our goals often is to, really dislodge that gridlock and say, you're putting out a best effort here. You're putting out you're putting out, resumes or applications in a variety of areas, keeping in mind things that might be a good fit for you. And if you get an offer and you start it and it happens to not be a good fit for you, well, we don't love that. We also have the right to further exploration. And so really trying to dislodge that gridlock of, I have to get it right the first time. It's like, no, we want you to get it right. Over time might be true in your story. And that might involve some exploration. That might involve a few extra steps or a few extra layers. And while we don't love that, that is an option. And so when we take urgency and we really pair it with like that perfectionism or that it has to look right, I have to pick just the right thing. What we're trying to do here in this video is disrupt that frantic energy matched with that insistence that it's perfect. It doesn't often go that way, and that's okay. It's not because you haven't done due diligence. It's not because you haven't put forward your best effort. It's not because you're not a desirable candidate. It's because sometimes exploration, it takes us in several directions before we land in an ideal place. Normal, it's quite common, and keep the faith that as I plod along, as I look at opportunities, I'm not doing anything wrong by starting, stopping, unless that's my pattern, and that's something else to explore altogether.